Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, J Fallon, and this is the slippery slope. When I saw this story, I thought, well, I wasn't going to talk about it initially, but then the issue is things like this have had such a big influence on people such as myself, like myself, who have just got had little channels. You trying to get out there and just speak, get known, trying to create something, start something, and then you have a company like Google censoring, and at the time they're offering all these different reasons why they're censoring you, and it still happens just recently. I couldn't tell you how many times I've received emails from Google or from YouTube, who's Google, but saying, "Oh yeah, hey, your video can now be monetized." And I didn't realize for the last 12 months the video couldn't be monetized because they'd been supposedly checking it for 12 months and things like this, or telling me, "Oh yeah, no, we can't monetize this video and we'll have to double check it." So then I'll put in a report or ask for them to recheck the video, and it just takes them so long. And by the time they come back and say, "Oh yeah, good news, it can be monetized," meanwhile they have been running ads on, they collect it all themselves, and then they come back and say, "Well, it can be monetized from now on," but the momentum's gone for the video anyway. But that kind of censorship's been going on so long. And then when I was reading this, I was thinking, wow, we'd already heard all these stories. How long ago was it when Zuckerberg marched out and explained to everyone how they had all this kind of censorship going on and they had all this pressure coming in from the administration, the government over there, and this is why they were doing it. Instead, they're going, well, it doesn't help all these people who are just trying to talk, just trying to broadcast their message, just trying to create something. All these creators who are there trying to build their businesses or have fledgling businesses, and yet big companies bowing down. And at the time, they're telling you, "Oh no, there's no censorship going on," or they have these false narratives saying, "Well, we have to censor you because you are telling these lies." And then months down the months down that path, you realize they weren't telling lies. These things were actually true. We're being censored because there's some other bigger corporation in there trying to tell us all that we're lying, trying to push their own narrative. The government is pushing their own narrative. Here we have what's going on in Australia, what's about to start in Australia here. It's for our peace, our safety. The government's coming in to protect us, stop all the children from accessing YouTube videos. In reality, I think it's just so that they can control the narrative, and so they can keep a track of who's actually getting online and who's watching what. Because now we all have to identify before we get onto websites, before you watch YouTube. You have to say, well, this is who I am. This is my little digital ID. This is who I am. Yes, please allow me to watch something that I want to watch. So when I see stories like this, it's more disappointing than anything. And what I find troubling, and this is why one big reason why I started talking about, or why I started the slippery slope, it's because I just believe that you need to talk about these things and you need to stand up and show people, well, hey, I'm going to hold you accountable. Even if my voice is only small, I'm still going to talk about it and tell other people and say, we need to hold you accountable. You need to be held accountable. And if you go out and do these things on purpose and then lie about it and tell us, no, no, there's no censorship, or, well, we're only doing this for this safety because you're lying, but in reality, it's the big company doing the censorship that's lying. So, in case you haven't heard, you probably have. Google admits censorship under Biden. So, if you look at Jimmy Kimmel, what's happened with him, he's been blaming the last couple of days, him, Hollywood, they've all been blaming the government over there, Trump. Trump's impeding on their First Amendment rights. And it's funny because I don't think that's happening at all. I don't think it's happening at all. Trump's talked about how he doesn't like Kimmel. The government's talked about the things that he's saying, which are actually being just absolutely false. And yet, and but no one admits any of that kind of thing. No one admits to the lies that have caused the problems with Kimmel. But it is strange that it is strange that all these people want to talk about Kimmel and say, "Oh, this is impeding on the First Amendment rights. Look what's happening to poor Jimmy Kimmel." Uh, none of them talk about the lies that he told about Charlie Kirk, the disingenuous nature in which he didn't really apologize. He came out and said, "Well, I'm kind of sorry that you got hurt and the things I said, but I didn't really mean it," and then he kind of pretends to choke up. In my opinion, he pretended to choke up when he was talking about a young man who was killed. He was killed. This is the thing. Charlie was killed for speaking and for expressing ideas and for wanting to debate people and wanting to talk about ideas. That's what he was killed for. And then you went around and told lies and blamed it all on his own people. And yet he still hasn't apologized for that exactly. But these people are blaming the government over there. But no one's talking about the censorship that happened under Biden. The the admitted censorship that happened where people lost businesses, channels were shut down, people were kicked off YouTube, Facebook, and all this. And none of these people, none of these Hollywood elites or people like Jimmy Kimmel, none of them talk about the things that happened under the Biden regime. All they want to talk about is blame Trump for anything, but they completely ignore. This seems to be what happens here in Australia. I don't know what is left anymore, what is left and right in politics. They're all kind of just blurred in together. But that left ideological way of thinking, it's like they cannot admit when they've been wrong on something. They cannot sit down and go, well, oh, yeah, actually, we want to blame, at this instance, we want to blame Trump, we want to blame the right, we want to blame all this on on what happened with Kimmel, all on this. But, well, we can also admit that there were some really terrible things, and Biden and that whole regime was actually to blame for the censorship that happened then. None of them actually want or will do any of that. So it says in this article today, thanks to the oversight of Chairman Jim Jordan, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube to due to political speech violations on topics such as COVID-19 and elections, and an opportunity to return to the platform. It would be good if these people were actually compensated. A lot of people not just lost the platform, they lost their livelihood. But no one's going to offer up any money. Google also admitted the following to the House Judiciary Committee. The Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube policies. The Biden administration censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Always remember this. When some nufty stands up on TikTok or wherever blaming Trump and telling us, well, Trump is causing these things to happen. Trump is creating censorship. No, no, he's not. Most likely he's not. But the Biden administration definitely did. Proven. Number three, public debate should never come at the expense of relying authorities. Number four, the company will never use third-party fact checkers, mate. Number five, Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech, including the removal of lawful content. These major admissions come after Chairman Jordan's subpoena to Google and a years-long investigation into the company. And it says, read the full letter here. I'm not going to read the full letter. Look, to me, we always need to talk about these kinds of things when they come up, even if we can't actually offer any solution at the time. It's always good to talk about it and get more ideas, get the word out there, so that these kinds of the companies that do this kind of thing know that people are watching them. People are trying and willing to hold them accountable. We can't just let it go. We can't just slip away into the night and say, "Oh, okay, you know." put our heads down and just carol away. You need to keep talking about these things and letting them know, yeah, we're watching, we're seeing what you do, and we're going to continue to talk about it. This is one of the big reasons why I talk about my experiences with QPS when I was a police officer, my experiences with the COVID-19 vaccine mandate that QPS forced upon people, my experiences with the QP union, the Queensland Police Union current president, Shane Pryor, and he's advising me, well, they're just going to hang this over your head, so you should just probably resign. It'll probably be easier. And now I look back thinking, mate, you really shafted me. This is the reason why I talk about all these things, because they were so unjust, and you can't just let them go. I can forgive, but freaking hang will I never forget Shane Pryor or Steve Golchowski or Katarina Carroll or Mark Ryan. I will never stop talking about these things and stop reminding everyone that this is what they did to just ordinary people, ordinary police like myself, who just wanted to go out there and do their job without being forced to do something in an unethical manner, being forced to do something that went against our own morals, our own ethics, and our own beliefs, and even being forced to do something that services like the Queensland Police themselves, 12 months before the mandates came in, would say, well, this is unlawful. You can't force people to do these things. And yet the first opportunity, they just break down, they go to water, and then go and force people to do these things. I will never stop talking about these things, because somewhere out there are people who are afraid to talk, who were too concerned that if they kept talking, well, then they'd get shut down. They would lose jobs, or felt like they were so pressured they could not say anything. They could not express how they felt pressured. They felt forced into these things. They didn't want to do it. They only did it because they had to make money, or they've done it. They've lost their jobs. They've lost money, and now they're just sitting there, just not knowing what to do, not knowing who to turn to. We need to know that other people are willing to at least just talk about these things, shine a light on these things, and continue to hold people, to hold companies, to hold governments accountable as best as we can. As best as we can. And we need to speak against deception and against all these so-called experts that put their hands up and tell us that they know exactly what's going on, even though history would show that they are speaking lies. And when I say this, I'm really, in my mind, I'm thinking about all the climate change experts that are around there, that are around at the moment and have been around for years. These kinds of things we need to keep talking about. Even if we don't have the solution, we need to talk about it so that other people might see it and say, well, hey, I've got a solution, I've got an idea. That's how things come about. We talk, we educate each other, we ideas are shared and spread, and we can come up with a solution maybe. That's what I think. It's the sharing of ideas, and this is what Google, this is what the Biden administration, this is what companies and organizations like Queensland Police Service, this is what they were trying to stifle back 4 or 5 years ago. This is what they're trying to stifle. This is why I believe organisations like the police services here in Australia and our governments use the law as a weapon, and they charge people who get up and talk and say things or put posts on Facebook or put videos up, because they want to stifle ideas. They don't want people talking and discussing and shedding a light and saying, well, this is the shortcomings. This is where they're going wrong. These are the bad things that they're doing. They would rather, as much as I don't agree with someone like the Hannah Thomas and what she was protesting on behalf of, uh, I'd much rather have someone like her protesting than have a government and a police service like the New South Wales Police Force putting charges on her, really just to force her into a position or just to quieten her down. Because it's not that they do it just to her and people of her ilk, they do it to everyone. They've done it to people on both sides of politics. If they don't agree, or if it's just easier to shut someone up, that's what they do. They use the law as a weapon. Governments, police services around this country do it all the time. And it's just disgusting. But this is why I talk about all these things. And okay, I don't come up with solutions. I don't always have a solution. But we need to talk. We need to share ideas. We need to get the word out. We need to keep holding companies responsible, accountable, keep talking about things like what's happened with Google when they eventually get found out and come up and have to admit these things. I'm hoping one day the Queensland Police Service admits and maybe apologises to me for what they did. Maybe one day Shane Pryor admits that he gave me extremely bad advice and that he actually stood on the wrong side of history when he advised all these police officers that they should resign, that they should quit, they should go along with the mandates, or when he actually supported the Queensland Police Service with their mandates. I'm actually hoping one day someone with authority within the QPS, Queensland Police Service, or the union would actually apologise to me for forcing me out of the job that I loved and wanted to do. Someone from the Crime and Corruption Commission, which is just a farcical that they have crime and corruption in their title, but would actually, they forced me out because of what ends up being an unlawful direction. And yet I was still forced out of there. Or, apologizes for only giving me 2 weeks' pay, standing me down, while, other people who actually do criminal acts stood down and just go on getting paid for 12 months. But anyway, I'm not getting an apology from any of those people anytime soon, but I'll still keep talking about it regardless and still keep holding people accountable. So this is why I think it's important to look at these things, these stories. Anyway, that's just all something I wanted to express. Today is the 26th of September, 2025. I'm J Fallon. This is The Slippery Slope. Thanks very much for listening. Please show your support. Got the QR codes for my music and for buy me a coffee if you can, whatever. Really, I'd just appreciate it if you just stream a song of mine. That'd be the best. Very cool. My name is J Fallon. Thanks for listening.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. Nothing's gonna just focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Gonna say